You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Well, good morning, good morning.
What?
We talked all night through. Good morning.
Oh!
Good morning to you and you and you.
Man.
This
is a double feature this week.
Yeah, twice in a week.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if we can contain all of just the overwhelming joy of the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure people out there are so joyful.
Man.
You know, it's so
if
funny.
we can have What Made Chris Mad this week, this is like the best week ever. It's the best week ever.
You always act like people just love it.
They do.
Yeah, it's so
they love
funny.
it. We get a lot of comments on it.
That's funny.
People comment about it all the time. They love it.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know,
you sing that to people in the morning, and then they walk around singing it all day. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Somebody just told me that on Sunday.
Yep.
So which is really funny. And by the way, I want to take this moment to, if you care about that segment or that little tidbit that I just did, then I want to take this moment to say, watch Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
Watch it. You've never seen it.
I have seen Singing in the Rain.
Oh, you have?
seen, yeah.
Okay.
I just don't know all the songs.
Right. Right. Well, you say it like I'm not a music guy.
Well, so didn't you tell us last week that you listen to movies or you watch movies in the shower? You just watch movies all the time.
I watched today. I was taking a shower and I put my phone up on the little ledge there in the shower, and I only had it's only like a 10-minute shower, but I said, I'm gonna watch this one scene, so I put on the ending of a movie. Well, it was Endgame.
Oh,
remember when Captain America, goes like this, and all of a sudden it goes Cap on your left, and then all of a sudden the Doctor Strange gets the army, and then they do that final battle. I was like, I was just in the mood to see that, so I watched that 10-minute segment.
Okay.
While I was showering.
I think that's the difference between like you being this committed movie guy, and me occasionally watching movies.
Right.
So you watch it for entertainment. It
scene.
informs you in your life and all those things. I watch it for amusement.
Right.
And amusement, amuse, no thought.
Well,
I'll say watch a movie. Tomorrow I may or may not remember the plot.
Yeah.
But man, it was a good movie. Somebody said, "Did you see that movie?" Yeah, it was good.
And I think it's.
I saw Wicked.
And I think the core. Oh, wait a minute. Before we get into that, the core of any movie, any great movie, is storytelling. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And so telling a story is...
And blowing stuff up. Blowing stuff up's a big part of it, too.
For most of the movies that you watch, yes. But story, for any great movie, is... And that's what life is. Life is storytelling, living stories, identifying with stories. Because movies, at the core of great movies, is all about story.
Well, maybe that's why we love the Bible Guys the way we do it. The way we do the Bible Guys thing, maybe that's why we do it that way. It's because we love the story of the Bible.
Okay, so very quickly, tell us, did you like Wicked? Really?
Yeah, I thought visually it was really impressive.
Yeah?
I thought musically it was less than the original. So I saw Wicked twice with the two originals.
Sure.
Phenomenal.
Sure.
This was good.
Oh.
And I felt like particularly that... who played Glinda?
Ariana Grande.
Ariana. I felt like she was hitting her marks, not acting.
Oh.
Like, I did not think she was funny in it. I felt like Kristen Chenoweth, in her little segment, was twice as funny as Ariana ever was in the whole movie. So I loved the callback to that piece. And then the deviations from the original were significant. You said that they weren't significant. I thought they were significant enough.
Huh.
Yeah. So it was good. I didn't think it was great.
Yeah, I'm going to have to significantly disagree.
That's okay. Visually, it was stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you feel like...
It felt very mechanical. Ariana Grande specifically felt very mechanical. And then the lady that played Elphaba just doesn't have Idina's voice. So musically, the live was back with the originals was... They should have made the movie with them.
Huh.
Yeah. And then the chemistry...
Yeah,
between Kristen and Idina was over the top.
Sure.
Versus the chemistry of those two, where they definitely were hitting their lines and saying their parts, and it was right. They did it correctly.
Did you get emotional?
No.
Yeah, well,
I didn't tear up once.
Okay.
And I went, I get it. It was very well done.
Okay.
But then the additions, I don't think any of the additions added to the story.
Now stop.
Yeah, every one of them was unnecessary.
From that,
it's not like I went, oh, thank God they finally got it right. I thought the original was better. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
all right. Hey,
there you go.
Okay.
So those of you that are out there that are wicked haters,
yes,
I'm with you. I don't hate it.
What?
I just don't care about it. The movie, I didn't care about it.
You're with them, the wicked haters.
Like it was unnecessary.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow. Well, you know what, Jeff? It's why we make a good team. It's the yin and the yang.
Yeah. But I was excited to watch it because you love it so much.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So it was for you, Chris, that I watched it.
Okay. Well, we have
and I'll be honest with you, I wanted to like it.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I really did.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
so we're going to answer a question we've answered 3 times. 2 times in the past.
Yeah, and we only have a couple minutes because now we've wasted a lot of time there.
This next part has one big idea in it, I think, so we're going to be okay.
Okay. So this is a Stump the Pastor question, and this question comes from Ashley N. And the question is simply this: do you think dogs go to heaven?
What kind of dogs?
What kind of dogs? Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. So first of all, I'll just give the short answer, and you can give the longer answers. The short answer is nobody knows, right? That's usually how Stump the Pastor questions go anyway, right? But I personally think yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are animals in heaven, for sure. Just everything that we know about heaven and God restoring things, I would say there's no reason not to believe that, there's no solidifying reason not to believe that dogs don't go to heaven. So I'm gonna choose to believe yes.
So I think the logical question would be then, do you think all life goes into eternity?
Like mosquitoes.
Yeah. How far down does that go? Is it sentient beings? And how do you know that mosquitoes aren't thinking, oh no, what's that big hand, right? Before it smashes me or whatever. So I don't know about that. So there is that one argument that, wow, there's a lot of creatures on the planet and whatever. But the other side of it is, and I think we've answered it this way before, God is good. Yeah. And when the Bible says that God created everything, he looked on the planet he made with dogs on it and said, it's very good.
It's very good.
Yeah, I really like it. I like it just like that. He liked it the way he made it, and then we messed it up. So now he's going to have to make a new one. So if he's going to make a new one, there's kind of a restoration kind of a concept in this new world that he's going to make at the end of time, right? It's a restoration more than it is I'm going to get rid of the old idea and get a new idea, right? It's like I'm going to make it all new again. I'm going to bring it back to what it was supposed to be. So if that's the case, I think it's very likely. The Bible mentions, Isaiah mentions this. We did a fun thing, but we've answered this question before, and we said all these answers. But then we did a fun thing, and right before the program, I typed in, do dogs go to heaven in ChatGPT? And it gave the same answers you and I always give, right? But it mentions there in Isaiah that it mentions that animals are in peace in the new kingdom, right? Yeah. And that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not unreasonable to say, man, I hope my pet is there, whether it's that pet or pets in general or animals in general or whatever, right?
You're right.
But we do know that animals are in eternity, which is really, really cool.
Yes.
So yeah,
very cool.
I'm not against you saying I think my dog went to heaven. Yes. Now, if he was a bad boy, I don't know.
He's such a good boy.
Yeah, but if he's a good boy, then
he's a good boy.
That's not how people get to heaven, but it might be how dogs get to heaven.
That's so funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you, Ashley, for writing in. And listen, if anybody else wants to write in, please do. We actually love questions that come in, and we would love to consider your question and comments. By the way, we love comments and feedback.
So, Ashley, I think our summary is we think it's totally possible.
Yeah.
Right? That animals go to heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or that we do know animals are in heaven, are in eternity. So, yeah.
Well, hey, I just want to say this. That segment needed a lot of work. You know, it was a lot of work to come up with those answers. Yeah. And speaking of that, you know what else needed a lot of work?
What?
The temple.
Yes, you're right. Especially after somebody took over.
Yeah, and so the temple had gotten in disrepair, and so they did a lot of work to redo it.
So Joash takes over and
Yes.
repairs the temple.
What do you think?
It was a terrible transition. I love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I volunteered to do every transition.
This week. That's why I went back and restated our answer, hoping that you'd go, oh, we should.
I forgot, actually.
Yeah.
And then finally I just remembered. So.
Good. Okay, so we're in 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1, and it says, Joash began to rule over Judah in the 7th year of King Jehu's reign in Israel. He reigned in Jerusalem 40 years. His mother was Zibiah from Beersheba. All his life, Joash did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight, because of Jehoiada, the priest, instructed him. Yet even so, he did not destroy the pagan shrines, and the people still offered sacrifices and burned incense there. So he followed the Lord, but he didn't make his people do it. One day, King Joash said to the priest, collect all the money brought as a sacred offering to the Lord's temple, whether it's a regular assessment, a payment of vows, or a voluntary gift. Let the priest take some of that money to pay for whatever repairs are needed at the temple. But by the 23rd year of Joash's reign, the priests still had not repaired the temple. Well, that took a while.
Yeah.
That's like me when I start a painting project.
Right.
23 years later.
23 years.
Yeah. So King Joash called for Jehoiada and the other priests and asked them, why haven't you repaired the temple? Don't use any more money for your own needs. From now on, it must all be spent on temple repairs. So the priests agreed not to accept any more money from the people, and they also agreed to let others take responsibility for repairing the temple. Then Jehoiada the priest bored a hole in the lid of a large chest and set it on the right-hand side of the altar at the entrance of the temple of the Lord. And the priests guarding the entrance put all of the people's contributions into the chest. Whenever the chest became full, the court secretary and the high priest counted the money that had been brought to the Lord's temple and put it into bags. Then they gave the money to the construction supervisors who used it to pay the people working on the Lord's temple, the carpenters, the builders, the masons, and the stonecutters. They also used the money to buy the timber and the finished stone needed for repairing the Lord's temple, and they paid in any other expenses related to the temple's restoration. The money brought to the temple was not used for making silver bowls or lamp snuffers or basins or trumpets or other articles of gold or silver for the temple of the Lord. It was paid to the workmen who used it for the temple repairs. No accounting of this money was required from the construction supervisors because they were honest and trustworthy men. Ooh, I don't know about that one. However, the money that was contributed for guilt offerings and sin offerings was not brought into the Lord's temple. It was given to the priests for their own use.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah. I would not say it's advisable to not expect your construction management foreman to not keep an attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these were guys who were working on the temple. And have you ever had a bunch of construction people do a building project and they all come together and we built a building in my previous church that I worked at, and everybody who was super excited who sort of took the reins. They were in construction for business, but they were Christians and dedicated to that church, and that felt great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That felt great. So I can imagine that these were people who attended the church or the temple, right?
Yes.
And they were all in. They just happened to do construction.
Right.
You know what that reminds me of? Do you remember Jim Gaffigan?
I remember him. Yes, I remember.
Do you remember that?
Rest in peace, Jim.
Remember that? What? Oh,
You're talking like he's
okay.
Not around anymore.
What I meant to say was,
He would like that joke,
do you remember
by the
the bit?
Yes. I don't know.
That he talked about gates in heaven.
Yes. Why do you need gates in heaven?
Yeah, he's like, they talk about the gates of heaven. He goes, why do you need gates? He goes, what kind of neighborhood is this? He goes, yeah, we had to install some gates because all the kids kept on sneaking in to use the pool. He goes, he goes, we had to build the gates all the way around. He goes, it was terrible. It was hard. He goes, we had to go all the way down to hell and find construction workers and everything. So it's really funny.
Yep.
So it's like that one joke is sort of like my son who's in construction would love that joke.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this case, here these guys are honest and trustworthy men, and to be honest with you, it almost seems like in this passage they're the ones that are honest, and the priests were the ones who didn't step up at the beginning, right?
Right.
So it didn't say they abused the money, did it? It didn't say. It said they used it for their own needs.
Right.
Right. So own needs doesn't mean there's no indication that it was used in a terrible manner. In fact, I would venture to say it's a really good assumption that it wasn't used in a bad manner, because usually when that happens, the Bible will go out of its way to say so.
Right.
Like had it been abused or squandered or stolen or misused, the Bible would say the priest squandered the money. They used it for their own selfish needs. They used it for sin. It didn't say any of that.
Right.
It just says they just used the money. It's almost like they got a race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, we want to do this much ministry, and now we have more money coming in, and now we're doing this much ministry.
Well, you and I, so we lead a church. It's a large church, large budget. A lot of money comes in.
Yeah.
We give clear accounting, and I mean, we're really careful with it. But you know how it can be. It doesn't matter how much money comes in. Our staff can find things that their team needs. We're not saying they're wasting it, but they can consume all the money comes in.
Oh yeah.
So on occasion, you and I and the other key leaders, we have to redirect and say, but there are priorities.
Right.
Right. There are these. We make sure 10% of the income that comes into Heritage or more goes outside of Heritage. It's not spent inside on us, right?
It's actually 11% this year.
Yeah. And the staff, if we said, hey, this extra, hundreds of thousands of dollars is available to you, they could use it and use it in a good way.
Oh, they'll hire people.
Yeah. Offer more services, offer more ministry things, whatever. Sure. Right. And so what happened was, I think it was just a fade. It wasn't that the Levites were bad guys or the priests were bad guys. It's just they were consuming everything coming in on what they viewed as necessary things. And finally, Joash, I don't know why he didn't pay attention. When you're young, maybe you just didn't notice it. Or you're believing all the reasons. Well, we need to increase the budget by 15% in order for us to get this project done or whatever. He doesn't know.
Right.
Finally, he realizes, wait a minute, he's 30 years old at this point. And he goes, wait a minute. Get it done. Right. And I love that about him, right? 23 years in, he only has 17 years left in his reign. Right. But he says, get it done. No more excuses. And there is a leader moment there that we finally see. This is the first really big leadership moment you see Joash in. Right. Is he had said, hey, I want the temple repaired. And that's cute. Little kid wants the temple repaired. That's great. We'll work on it. We'll get there. We got budgets to balance. We got ministries to run. We got all these things.
Thanks, kid.
Yeah. But finally, he's an adult, and he's like, get it done. And they buckled down, and they did. And then he had trustworthy men that are doing, the finished stone and all of the wood and all that kind of stuff. And apparently, it was a very fair rate that they're charging to do these things. It must have been, I don't know. The Bible is not hinting that it was a discounted rate. Okay, it's not hinting that at all, right? There's no hint here that there was an expectation that these guys would do it for free. Oh, there's no expectation that they do it as a discount, but it must have been very fair. Because he's not even needing an accounting on it. Right. When they say, well, these timbers here and we're fixing up this wall is going to cost $10,000, and they go, oh, yeah, that's a fair price. That's a good price. Right. And so I think that's the hint that when you get that there's no real accounting necessary was everybody could see through the transparent pricing that's going on. That's a fair price. Yeah, go ahead, get it done. Yeah. If you can do it for that, go ahead and do it.
And if this is typical, think about, like, we know if you're a Bible guy or gal, which I'm referring to the audience here, right, or the listeners, all of us. Right. And if we've been sort of hanging around and listening to the series, we understand how big the temple is.
Yeah.
I mean, how big is it? It's pretty big. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most massive things ever built, wasn't it? It was one of the most majestic things ever built.
Sitting on top of the mount, that whole complex was, the temple itself was a good-sized building, but it wasn't like the Pentagon.
Oh, he's not referring to the whole complex.
I take it to be the building itself, because it's talking about what goes in it. Right, so it didn't include the bowls, and it didn't include the lamp snuffers and the
Okay,
so it's talking about the furniture inside.
Meant the Holy of Holies area.
Yeah. I think you're talking about the holy place.
Okay.
The Holy of Holies. Okay, the courtyard probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
the Temple Mount is big, but that space probably was just that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, though, it's extravagant, right? Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's one of the most wealthiest.
Oh yeah. When David built it, when Solomon built it, it was billions of dollars. Billions to hundreds of millions, $1 billion. Something like that. It was crazy.
And so anyway, the point is that my whole point of that is to say this: it took time. So when they say no accounting was needed because these were honest construction workers, you're probably talking about years, and you're probably talking about, they were in such a rhythm and routine that it was just like clockwork. It's like, hey man, there's trust, there's honesty, there's integrity, there's fairness, there's they're paying good wages, and it sort of just ran itself because everything really went well with this entire restoration, which is pretty great.
Yep.
I mean, think about that. That's a pretty great statement in the Bible, isn't it?
Yeah. I also think that there's some value. I think you're right on that. I think there's some value in understanding. We've done a lot of construction projects at our church as things grew and whatever. And I always tell the businessmen, I am not asking you to put your families in jeopardy. I'm asking you to be fair. That's all. Just be fair, because I think businessmen should make money. Right?
Yes.
And they should do that.
They have to.
So if you look at the priests were given the responsibility to repair the building. It took them 23 years and they never got to it. The priests did what they do, but they never got to the construction. And so there's something to be said about having experts that you rely on, that you lean into. So you need good, godly men and women around you that are experts at what they do. And, I was just talking to a young guy that's, getting ministries or getting a business started. And so I was saying to him, you need a good, godly lawyer. Do you have a lawyer? Well, I don't have any legal issues yet. I said, not now. But lawyers can help you set up a business where you can protect yourself, protect your family, do all these things. You need a good, godly lawyer. You invest in a good, because you don't know law. You know your business, right? And then you need a good accountant that you can rely on, a CPA. But you also need a good financial advisor who can help you with strategic ideas. So you need this little team of godly men or women that can help you, advise you on the business side, advise you on the legal side, and advise you on the tax side, right? Those four areas. And you shouldn't have to be an expert at those things. But what happens a lot of times, if we have any pastors listening today, pastors sometimes will ask, how do you make the leap from being a regular sized church, to a giant church? And one of those is you stop trying to do everything and be everything. I can remember when I was working in a small church, we had to balance the budgets, and we had to plan the weekend services, and we had to make sure the kids thing was great and the adults thing was great. And we had to literally, I remember watching my senior pastor mow the lawn one time.
Yeah.
I went out and stopped him, and I went and mowed the lawn because he was my senior pastor. I said, no, I'll mow the lawn.
Yeah.
I was busy that day, but man, I'm not going to let my senior pastor go out there and mow the lawn. We need him doing senior pastor stuff, right?
Right.
I cleaned the toilets every week in the whole building, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at the time, I'm not below cleaning toilets. I'll clean toilets, right? It's a good work because it's necessary. So somebody needs to do it. I'll do it if nobody else will do it. But I remember thinking it would be better if we've built teams to do those things. People who are really, really good at, I'm not great at cleaning. You can ask my wife.
Right.
But people who are really good at it, that love to do it. There are people who love it. They just love to make everything sparkle. Right. And they love that first impression thing. Man, not that anybody's like, ooh, sign me up to clean the toilets. But there are people who love that first impression thing. And this is what I think the wisdom of Joash in his 30s now, instead of in his childhood.
Yeah.
In his 30s, he's like, dude, let's let the priests do what the priests are supposed to be doing. Right? Lead the people in worship, do the sacrifices, declare God's word. And we're going to need some experts to go do these other things. But it's not right, I think, for pastors to expect. Now, we've had people come in and voluntarily donate. Thank God for it sometimes, right?
For
Thank
sure.
God. But man alive, if work needs to be done, pay a fair wage, charge a fair wage. If you're in business, Christians be willing to pay a fair wage. And trust me, things will be better. It'll get done quicker, right? It'll be probably done better than you doing it. And both you and the businessman benefit, right? And this is what I think you see happening here is Joash finally realizes, Jehoiada, you're good at some things. You're apparently not very good at project management. So let's pay these guys over here, and they're good, godly people that you could trust. And there's something about, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be great at everything. I think men in particular sometimes feel driven. I should be really good at all the things in life.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to be good at everything. You need to know. You're Italian. You just need to know a guy.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Every Italian I know knows a guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
As a matter of fact, remember I asked you the other, a couple weeks ago about home
like
repair
a remodel guy.
And I was like, I just don't know like a pro. Like I know some big construction guys. I don't know like a home remodel guy. And I said, you have? He said, yeah, I got a couple, but I got this one guy. Right?
I said, I know a guy.
Man, there's something to that. Be that guy. Be the guy who knows a guy.
Right.
And you can get a lot done if you know a guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good word.
Yeah.
And so, hey, that's our time. And so hopefully we will see you next time on The Bible Guys.